All right, you're on.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission. Excuse me, today is Monday, April 15th, and the time is currently 6:08. We will start this meeting with a roll call of commissioners. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Present.
Commissioner Rodriguez. Sorry.
Present.
Commissioner Benito.
Present.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Present.
Commissioner Reeves.
Present.
Commissioner Ridgway.
Present.
Commissioner Chura.
Present.
Commissioner Wong.
Present.
Commissioner Donaldson is still on leave. Commissioner Early is not present. Commissioner Kennedy is not currently present. And then we're also, I think that's all of them. I think the last one is Commissioner Zayed. Sorry,
Present.
co-chair. All right. So basically, the point of this meeting is we would like to just basically finish the business from our last full meeting that was at the end of March. So we would like to, I guess, just a formality. So on the special meeting, we're not adding anything to the agenda. So I think we'll just move forward with the adoption of the agenda. And just basically is a basic meeting decorum. What we would like is for commissioners to direct their comments to the chair and not directly to commissioners. We would like everyone to speak respectfully, to not interrupt one another, and allow everyone to express themselves openly so we can come to an understanding of everything and basically vote with the best information possible. So at our last meeting, we ended with our status committee reports. We were able to get the status committee reports for the Police Accountability Committee and the Budget and Grants Committee, but we were in the at the beginning of the reports from the Policy Committee. So we're gonna pick up where we left off at our last meeting, and we are going to start with Commissioner Van Leer. I think it's Van Leer Benito going, but the Policy Committee, and then we will just move forward through the agenda from there.
Thank you, Co-Chair Adams. So yeah, we're gonna meet, I guess last time I was not here, but you all did the officer lunch breaks, GPO. So I'd like to start with the gunshot detection system or shot spotter. So this has been in the works for a while. It's spent a lot of time in the surveillance tech work group. And you should have sent all of these to y'all. I think you've gotten them a couple of times now, but last week I sent them, they were sent out before the last meeting as well. So I don't really have a presentation on any of this. I'm just assuming that if you all have questions, you're gonna ask them. So that's it. This has gone through the work group. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Someone go first.
Commissioner Wong?
I just had a question because there was a community member that wrote in from our surveillance tech group, Dave Lima. His suggestion after reading, this is after we passed it through the committee, was the portion that we added about getting the false negative and false positive data, that those reports also be automatically somehow sent to the commission. So I don't know if that's something historically that can be added in a GPO, and it does like integrate us into the system a little bit more. So I'm just offering that as a potential thing. Let me read exactly what he has said.
Yeah, so
I was going to say, for purposes of moving the business along, I think Commissioner Van Leer has the GPO that he would like to bring. Is it possible for us, someone to make a motion for it, and then we can discuss it, and then we can kind of move
sure,
along?
let's do that. So I make a motion that we pass this GPO.
Second.
And so
I can make a friendly amendment.
So then we'll open up for discussion, and then Commissioner Wong, you have a friendly amendment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
So the friendly amendment is that in section 6B, it states, quote, analysts shall provide regular, weekly, monthly, and annual reports on gunfire activity that provide temporal activity, day of the week and hour of day, along with gunshot. Can we and should we have those same reports forwarded to us? As well as in section 5, it says that there will be tracking documentations forwarded to the program manager bi-weekly by email. Can we have that same documentation forwarded to us?
So the
yeah.
thinking of the language currently, which has gone through, some pretty careful consideration, and I don't believe Dave Lima was at that particular meeting, but is that, this is because it goes through this this process is available to us, and I don't know that anybody else saw the need to add it in as the CPC. I'd be interested to hear, I mean, is there a reason why or why not we should consider putting the CPC into a GPO when we have access to this information without that language?
I think one reason is that our records requests are taking a long time. So in order for, to the chair, because this is a dynamic system, right, with ShotSpotter, you need as much real-time information as possible, and it's really just CCing us on, or CCing Jason on an email. So, but I guess my question was, I don't see any problem legally of integrating the commission into GPOs.
That was my question.
Yeah.
I wasn't really asking you. I didn't make it clear, but I would love to hear.
Martin.
We don't, we haven't prepped you on this, so, Mr. Belot, if you have any thoughts on that.
Did you make a motion?
Oh, so I make a motion to add language that we add, that these things are forwarded to us in both of those two sections. So that's section 5 of ShotSpotter and about the tracking documentation. That's a bi-weekly email. And the other one is weekly, monthly, annual reports on gunfire activity throughout the day. So one is about the accuracy of ShotSpotter, and the other is for just where the gun activity is. And that should probably also help us with our other kind of outreach and things like that. And I just get a lot of questions about this from the community. And it doesn't really say what we'll do with that information. We don't have to release it. So I would just like to hope that we don't have to go through another record request.
So you're saying,
There hasn't been a second of your comment on this. Let's go
can I
over.
ask a clarifying question
Sure,
about it?
yeah.
So you're saying adding the CPC in 2 places. One is in the error section, that's when it says like it'll be sent to like the program manager, that you would also add that, and then also in the analytics.
So it's 5B
Uh-huh.
and 6B2.
6.
And what would, the annual,
So there's one says that they'll report all errors, and that goes through their reporting process. And that's 5B, section 5B, and then section 6B2 talks about providing regular weekly, monthly, and annual reports on gunfire activity.
yeah, I think that I'm more open to the first one with the errors, because that feels more like providing oversight of if we have a technology and if it's not working well. The second piece seems like we're getting into operations, and if we want to systematically look at gun activity in the city of Cleveland, I think that is something that we could do through a request. But so I would be willing to second the first one, but not the second one.
So my concern is you can't really do very much without the second one because it's all data. So if our point is that we're trying to not only design policies about ShotSpotter, but also assess the efficacy, which, I mean, council has even questioned the efficacy of a technology that costs $100,000 per square mile. And in Detroit, it kind of decreased gun activity by 27%, but community-based programs decreased by over 80%. So I think that picking and choosing, I'm not sure why, because I guess I would like to know, where are these reports, even are they public reports? It's not clear to me.
So I guess I would like to, if Mr. Belot, if you don't, I mean, I don't know that you would have any thoughts at this point. We're not going to look into it. So
The question is,
can we include, or should we include the CPC in the GPO specifically, or explicitly and specifically in the GPO in 2 sections that these reports have to be sent to us?
I'll forward the email.
I don't think there's an issue. I know, I hear you.
I don't think there would be an issue with that. I think there have been other GPOs that have said that documents or activities go to certain departments or certain entities. I don't see an issue with us inserting ourselves kind of as a CC as described. It seems more like a policy thing, but I would prefer as the commission, if they do want to go this route, that you make that the motion today, and then if it ends up not working out, we can take it out later. We'll figure it out later. But if that's your intent, then do that. We can figure it out post.
My thinking was a little bit opposite, was like, let's keep it the way it is, and because this has gone through a pretty rigorous process, then we can add it in if we make sure we print it up and figure out, and just adjust it for that.
So I just want to just interject really quickly. Do we have a second for the motion?
Right,
So we're discussing,
Second.
but okay, so now we have a second for the motion. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
I have a
Call
question.
for the vote.
I have a question.
Okay, so we'll get the inquiry and then we'll call for the vote.
Does this GPO still go to the DOJ at this point? What is
I
this,
believe
what
all
is the status?
GPOs
no,
but
not
what
all
is-
DPS.
Oh, no.
I
Oh,
am
yeah, not the.
blanking for the moment on whether this is a,
This is not a consent decree GPO, but because it's Fourth Amendment, we can courtesy send it to them.
Commissioner Chura.
Through the chair, are there any, does the division have any success stories with this program? I mean, is it saving lives or anything like that?
certainly, they've brought some of those people forward, yes, to say that. Yeah.
However, I'd say without a statistical analysis, you can't correlate, it's causation or correlation.
I would add, as someone who's watched all the safety committee videos that has to do with this and the presentations that the makers of ShotSpotter, when they come in and do, it seems that what this program has done, I don't know if we can say 100% has saved lives. What we know is that they have been able to find perpetrators that actually do some type of gun violence, but it hasn't been explicitly stated that this has been a prevention measure as much as it has been reactive. Them understanding, like, if gang A is always committing crime in this area, then hey, now we know to be a heightened awareness because we've now been able to prosecute 2 members of gang A and catch them. And moving forward, hopefully that will be a prevention measure. But because based on that pilot was only maybe 18 months that they did, we don't really know if it has explicitly saved lives. And they're very careful when they have done their presentations to not address that issue head on.
So the question before us is if we're going to amend this GPO. So if there are any further discussion about that specific question about including the CPC in 2 sections of this GPO,
Can we call for a vote?
otherwise.
Yeah, I call for the vote, yeah.
All right, so on the motion to add the CPC's name in sections 5B under errors and 6B2 under analytics, I'm going to call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Name.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Is my mic on?
Turn it up.
I think it's not on.
His mic is not on.
So I'll say again to, so the motion on the floor is to amend the GPO motion committed, presented by Commissioner Van Leer to add the CPC's name under section 5B3 of errors and section 6B2 under analytics. And we'll call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Name.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
No.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
I'm sorry, and Commissioner Adams, I vote aye. So I think the motion passes
8 yes, 2.
8 yes, 2 no. Motion passes.
So then we're going to move forward. So if there is any more discussion about this, the ShotSpotter GPO as amended, if not, let's vote.
All right, so now the motion on the floor is to pass the GPO for the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system. We'll call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
and I, Commissioner Adams, vote yes. So motion passes unanimously.
So the next, I'll make a motion right off the bat, the GPO 1.0508, post-traumatic incident protocol. This has also been before you for a while. So if you'd like to, if you have any questions, it's basically what happens in terms of, in processes for when an officer goes through a traumatic incident on the job, essentially.
I'll second.
And this is,
Open for discussion. Is there any discussion on the?
this has gone through the behavioral health work group, so I don't know if you have anything you wanted to bring up, Commissioner?
Nothing to add, but I'm happy to answer questions.
No questions? Vote?
All right, we're going to call this for the vote. Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
And Commissioner Adams, aye. Motion passes unanimously. We're going to continue, Commissioner Van Leer.
Sure, so I'll make a motion to pass the GPO 4.0511 active threat. And this, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully you've had a chance to read it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got 2 seconds. So we have a second on the floor. Is there any discussion from commissioners regarding the active threat GPO?
Could you tell us which ones are gonna go through to the DOJ of these? Do you know?
I'm not certain active threat isn't, goes to the, it's not part of the consent decree. So they may look at it from a use of force perspective, but I'm not certain.
Could you give us the history of this, this GPO, Mr. Goodrich?
I cannot, as I am not the originator of this GPO. It was presented to us. I think this was one that they, are revising. There's 2 in there. There's a, this one and another one related to school alarms. So it just brings up, from what I could tell by it, I talked about this in policy, they're just bringing it up to the modern response standard for school emergencies and school shooter emergencies.
Yeah, I mean, it came to us and you can see there's still the changes are from the division to their previous version are in italics. So, you can see what the substantive changes that they've updated.
My understanding is that the some of the biggest changes are around determining who's kind of in charge of the scene. And it seems like some of the impetus for this was after the Uvalde school shooting, where there was so much chaos and inaction because there was disagreement and a lack of clarity over who was in charge of the scene. So that was, I think, one of the big reasons why that GPO was edited and some of the biggest kind of substantial changes.
Any other? I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Van Leer. I just want to know if there's any other discussion from commissioners. So it's a call for the vote. So on the GPO, the motion for the active threats, I'm gonna take the roll. Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer. Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
And Commissioner Adams, yes, as well. So motion passes.
And next on the agenda is 4.0710, the school emergency radio alarm. And this is, this is a system that's been in place, I believe, since 2015, if I'm not incorrect. Longer than that, yeah. And it's basically updating again and making sure they have a GPO in place that's up to date. And we did not make any changes to this.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, if there's a second, our motion is open for discussion.
Are there any questions? There are no questions.
All right, call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
and Commissioner Adams is aye. Motion passes. Commissioner, you want to continue? Commissioner Van Leer?
Yeah, so the final GPO on the agenda in this section is the mission statement for the city of Cleveland. This is pretty straightforward, so I'll make a motion to pass this as it is. It's a quick read.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second on the floor. Any discussion? No, you have a second? No? You have a discussion? All right, no discussion. We'll call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
and Commissioner Adams. I vote aye as well. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I do have a couple of updates
Absolutely.
from the policy committee. So first of all, we have, actually I can pass it to Commissioner Benito. We're looking for another commissioner to jump in and work on the behavioral health and crisis intervention work group.
Yeah, we have a behavioral health and crisis intervention work group right now. I'm the only commissioner that's serving on that work group, and I would love another commissioner to help with it. We have a number of community members and professionals, people with lived experience, and people from a number of different kind of areas of behavioral health. And we are kind of looking at some of the work that MROC is doing. We also are planning to do some work around evaluating the crisis intervention team training, CIT training, and the CIT program. Also planning on doing some work around the care response, and we are kind of doing some tracking of some of the trends that are happening around in consent decrees and through the Department of Justice around utilizing care response in consent decrees instead of just CIT, and also tracking there's a ACLU lawsuit that is going through right now in Oregon around violations of the ADA. And so there's a lot to do in that area, and it would be great to have another set of hands.
All right, thank you. So that's, I guess, a call for action. If anyone's interested, please let Commissioner Benito know. Is there anything else from the policy committee?
Just a brief announcement. We're looking now potentially at May 30th for a community forum around surveillance technology, which would be Fusus, ShotSpotter, and all the other, camera systems, automated license plate readers, and that. So that's just starting to get moving, and we'll keep you updated on that.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the outreach committee's report. I know that Commissioner Kennedy is not with us today, but I wanted to know if there was anything, I know that there are 2 members of the outreach committee here, or 3, I'm not sure. But if there was anything you wanted to add. Yeah. Or if the commissioners don't have an update, is there anything that you have, Jason? For outreach?
To the chair, no, we're only a week away from the next full commission meeting, so I'd like that committee present.
To the chair,
Yes.
President Grant had an update, if it's okay.
Okay, so basically
Because
what
I saw
we're
it
doing
on
is
the,
we, right, so at the last meeting, we have to update, so we're just finishing the last meeting.
Yeah, this is a continuation.
And then we can do the update for budget and grants at the next full meeting, which is actually next week.
Okay.
But that was why, we just wanted to make sure that we just finished what we had and we're not really presenting anything new that wasn't already on the agenda. The Rules Committee, Commissioner Van Leer.
We have been focused recently on the evidentiary hearing manual. We are looking, to move that forward. Commissioner Wong is working on a new draft or revision to the draft. And we're hoping, I've actually we're looking at May 1st, our May 1st meeting, potentially having a joint meeting of accountability and rules to wherever that draft is. Hopefully we've got a full draft, or full revised draft, and we can discuss it and move that forward from there and see where we're at. That's about it right now. We've really been focused on that, and have put aside some of the other things we're working on in terms of the rules for the commission. The TAC is, I was gonna do that on
the next one.
policy.
That was for next
That's
week.
for policy, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and
Wrong,
then
sorry,
I was
wrong.
gonna give an actual,
Okay.
if needed after the
We can
policy.
do it next.
I was gonna do it at the
week.
next full commission meeting.
I don't think we need to right now.
That sounds good. So we'll get the TAC update at the meeting next week, Wednesday. So next, I know that we have training, has some things for us, so we're gonna pass it over to Commissioner Vicky.
Thank you very much. So we have 3 items for this meeting that we want to go over, and I'm just going to go ahead and introduce them for a vote. So the first is the crowd management training. So this training went through the training committee for feedback. Myself and Commissioner Adams reviewed it and sent feedback in, and then we also talked about it in the last committee meeting and voted it through as well. So it has received a vote from the full committee. So I'm going to introduce the motion and move that we approve the crowd management training.
Second.
Happy to
Motion has
receive
been
any questions.
seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivera Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Same.
abstain, Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
and Commissioner Adams, aye. Motion passes. Next, just continue, Commissioner Benito, please.
Thank you. So the second item is the 2024 needs assessment. So every year, the training section of the CDP conducts a needs assessment, looking at what are the different areas of training that are needed, and identifying focus areas and kind of laying out kind of the strategies that are going to be used in the year ahead, and then they use that to update the 3-year training plan. So I'm going to introduce a motion to approve the 2024 annual needs assessment. However, I'm going to also add a change to it, which is that we update the chart for the proposed curriculum review process. And this is a chart that I attached in, sent to everybody, and it's just replacing the chart that's currently in the needs assessment that is on page 8. So I would love to receive the second.
So there is a motion on the floor to amend. Is that a motion
Well,
to
can I
amend?
just introduce it with the amendment as part of it? Do I need to introduce it first and then amend it?
I think it can all be one.
Okay, yeah,
I'll second.
So to approve the annual needs assessment for 2024 with the amendment of the flow chart.
Just for clarification, what Commissioner Benito is doing is there is a flow chart that sort of lays out where the CPC comes into the process of updating training, and we just want to be moved earlier into the process. So, or no, is that of it?
The changes shows the has the full commission approving
Oh,
the
the full
training.
commission.
That's the way that the flow chart is updated. While we're discussing that, what I will say is I'm happy to go over I'm just gonna do a really brief summary of the process. So the CPC has a couple different ways of being involved. One is when curriculum, the training topics are identified in the needs assessment and in the training plans. Curriculum groups are formed, which are groups of experts in members of the CDP and also can include members of the CPC are formed to create the curriculum. And then the draft is sent to the training review committee. The CPC also has 2 members that are on the training review committee. So that is another point in which the CPC is involved. The training review committee looks over the draft of the curriculum, sends edits and concerns and updates. It is returned to the curriculum group and then sent back through. Then it comes to the CPC training committee. And then at that point, we send our feedback and it's sent back to the curriculum group for revision. And then once that is made, it is those changes are made, it's sent to the CPC for approval. And then it is at that point, it is sent to the monitoring team and the DOJ for trainings. They review that, and then the monitoring team, the DOJ, send back comments, and then we will comment on, the training committee will comment on every comment with the CDP and have a conversation with them. So that's another. So we're inserted in 4 or 5 different places in this training process.
Commissioner Benito, just for clarity, is this motion the training needs assessment or a training plan?
It's a needs assessment. The chart right now is just in the needs assessment.
Okay, so the training needs assessment, okay.
And I believe there's a second. So if there's any questions or.
My concern about all these things is that I don't think they've gone through the proper vetting. There's, to my understanding, no work groups attached to any of these materials. It's not that I don't trust the commissioners, but and I don't think it's sufficient to send out the materials. And there was, some confusion about when they were sent out. And because the whole point is that we're supposed to be having a dialogue about this, and many things that we individuals may not see, the group can see through that creative process. So I just don't think that many eyes have gotten on this. If you needed more help, like because training used to be an accountability would have, you could have used one of our work groups to, and there is a reason, Ms. Benito, it's not like just something that's, coincidental. It's because training is the first level of accountability for police officers. So our work groups are open to you if you don't have the person power at that point to manage this, but this is a community commission. This requires, we're trying to transform a system that has been languishing for a while. And I just don't think that there's enough dialogue and diversity of thought on these things. And maybe there's nothing wrong, but maybe there's something better that we could come up with ourselves, because what we're doing is we're also responding to drafts that the division has given us. I would feel actually more comfortable if we created things ourselves. That would require subject matter experts, and that would actually build the legitimacy of the commission in the community. If it's just about a few of us emailing each other, looking at things, maybe looking at a committee and voting on it, I'm not sure where the interaction and the buy-in from the community is.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Commissioner Ridgway.
To the chair and to Commissioner Benito. Have any members of the community reviewed this particular needs assessment plan and given input? Or has it all been done? Has there been has there been a work group that involved community members? I just think I share a little bit of what you were sharing, in that this is an area where I think community input needs to be given. So I just want to know, do we have anybody in the community at the work group level that has actually seen this, given input on it, and then this plan, this needs assessment was developed based on part of that input?
I'm gonna go to Edie Goodrich.
Okay, since I directed it to,
I think he's trying to.
Yeah, the origination of these documents are older than this iteration of the commission, and Mark Magoo did include the commission in the needs assessment when it was created. So we use data from community survey. We use data from when LaToya Logan had an outside contractor come in and do curriculum assessments. So they were very intentional in every bit of community feedback that we gave. I think it's probably some of the strongest consideration our work has ever been given. So when this comes up again, they continuously do these needs assessments, and part of the need assessment is get feedback from the commission. So another one can't go forward in the future without involving the commission, because it's embodied in that process to do so. But I would suggest that on this particular one, you give Mr. McGuth the ability to move forward, because they put a lot of work into this, and the previous commission was involved in working with McGuth on how to do these needs assessments. So although this particular cycle, we didn't go out and get feedback, this is important to move the consent decree forward, and it has incorporated feedback from the community through the previous commission.
Anything else, Commissioner Ridgeway?
Yeah, just one other question. and
Could I
that-
respond to your question though?
Yes, please.
So, this, was actually sent to the DOJ and the monitoring team, very early in our commission, in the formation of our commission last year, like in the first couple months. So before we even staffed, like had the training committee going, the annual needs assessment and the 3-year training plan were sent to the monitoring team and the DOJ. In the end of 2023, there was, before, you might remember before January of this year, we weren't bringing training to the full commission for approval. We were just doing that in the committee. But the DOJ and the monitoring team have said in the end of December, early January, we want to see all these materials go to the full commission for approval. So the reason why we weren't part of the actual creation of these documents is because we weren't running yet. Now then in December, early January, they sent us these and said, this has already gone through the review of the monitoring team in the Department of Justice, but we just want to make sure that the full commission, approves it. So at that point, we have brought it back. In the future, so every year they conduct the needs assessment. They're starting to plan the 2025 needs assessment right now. They're working with the training committee on that. And we actually, in conversations in the training committee, we talked about actually for almost every training that they send to us, including the needs assessment and the training plan, actually posting the items on the website and having a 30-day comment period where community members can comment on it. And then that could, then we can also work with the outreach committee. So that is something that Commander McGuth was completely in support of, and the training committee is actually actively advocating for. For this, again, these 2 documents were created prior to our starting the training committee.
Commissioner Ridgeway.
Yeah, just as a follow to the chair and again to Commissioner Benito. Thank you for, giving the backstory. You as well, Edie. Thank you. I guess the question I would have again, since it has been almost a year and a half since the other commission has met. I think their last meeting was May in 20, not last year, but May or June of 20, what's that? 22. So my question would be, has anything been added or changed in this planning? And I understand McGuth's, need to get this approved. But has anything been changed or any comments been made from anybody to suggest that it needs more public input? Or are you comfortable with it since you have worked with this, with what has happened? I mean, what you're presenting right now without any new or recent input on this? Are you comfortable with it as a commissioner who's presenting this before the group?
I am comfortable with it. I mean, I feel confident in that. And then to address Commissioner Wong's concern, I think that once again will welcome any specific feedback or concerns that you have with the documents.
Again, I feel like I'm saying something that is not being heard. The issue, I think, is, and it's kind of bridges what Commissioner Ridgeway has said, is that when are we going to get to the proper planning that members of the community, members of the public, and the true kind of group kind of diversity that can be is that it's not about me giving individual comments, right? It's not about the person, it is about the community. It is about a joint effort with the community. And I'm imagining many things have changed, in 2 years. So this is again my concern about a lot of the ways that we are proceeding through this is why are we not developing the capacity and the infrastructure? And it's always like, we'll do it for the next iteration, we'll like push it down the line. So that is my concern.
I
And
would love to
again, it
respond
is,
to your concern.
right, I'm not finished yet, but thank you. That is the issue. So it is not again about which commissioner has said which. And I think it's also very taxing to just kind of, and you're coming from a perspective that if someone doesn't say something, then it's okay. That doesn't seem to me to be extraordinarily logical, you know? So unless you sincerely want my concerns about this, and I would have to think about it because it is something that's not exactly in my wheelhouse. I would have to ask people about it because I know that because it is not in my direct level of expertise, that would be my instinct is to go ask people. So I guess my question was, when are we going to establish work groups for these materials? When are we going to get that community input? Because it seems like, oh, we passed another one. Oh, we did something. We didn't do something because the community hasn't been involved.
Okay, so
I would really like to respond.
I'm gonna let you do the last comment and we're gonna call for this vote.
So, many of the trainings that thus far, I'm addressing the question that you asked. So, many of the trainings thus far that we have been reviewing have been developed before we were sat as a commission. So, the crowd management and the earlier trainings that the training committee reviewed were started, the curriculum group was formed, the content was developed prior to us forming the police training committee. So therefore, we weren't involved, you're right, at the beginning of the process, which is an area what I feel like what you're asking is, when are we going to be involved substantially in the content to make sure that the content of the material is high quality and is communicating the kind of constitutional bias-free policing that we want to have in the city of Cleveland. However, like I said, these trainings, not every single training that we do that the division gives to us is going to result in a work group. For example, crowd management. That doesn't necessarily, that is, the majority of that training is about holds, is about how they respond to large groups of people and events. That is not necessarily going to be an area that we are going to have a deep dive work group about. However, bias-free policing, which, as you know, we are in the process of establishing a joint work group between the policy committee and the training committee to do a deep dive, to do some of the more substantive work that you are identifying is in the process. Additionally, we, in the vehicle pursuits work group, we are working with the training committee to get all material, to understand all of the training that is currently being done on that and to review those materials and integrate it into the work of that work group. So to say that we are not adequately addressing the training areas is inaccurate. It has taken some time for us to get these things started because this is a longer process than just we enter in at, to interrupt a processes for developing these trainings that have been going for longer than we have been seated would not be fair. So we are doing those things, and I again, you have had these materials for several months. If you had concerns about,
But it's not just about me.
Okay,
it is not, if anybody has concerns, you're the only one voicing concerns right now. So if anybody has concerns, there was an opportunity to send that to us. There have been 2 training committee meetings since some of these materials were sent out. If you had any concerns or any flags, you could have brought them to the committee. You could have sent me an email, and we could have reviewed it. Potentially, if you said, I really think this needs a work group, that could have been something that we discussed in committee.
Edie Gilbert.
Just going back to the needs assessment, because that's what we're talking about. Couple of quick points again, so everyone understands. 1, this is a consent decree required document. 2, the planning for the year's needs assessment starts long before that year. So this was already being planned and done through the TRC. It's April. They're asking you to approve the 2024 needs assessment in April. If you were to stop that process, to do that now, right, you would backlog everything. If you want to be more involved, they're about to start the
Which we are.
2025, so that's when you jump in, right? You
We
jump
are
in
doing
with
that.
the flow of the current and you make your impact there. Blocking the 24 needs assessment will do nothing to help the community because we're already starting to work on the 25 one. And all of the 24 training is already planned. They're moving forward with it. So the things before you right now started long before anyone was seated here. And I'm not saying it's not important to stop things sometimes, but right now these things they're ready to move forward. And the DOJ and everyone have been working on these for years. So it wouldn't be the greatest timing to stop any of these moving forward. Jump in with the current and start swimming. In 2025 needs assessment, absolutely jump in, get involved.
All right, so for purposes of time and business, making sure we get to the actual rest of the business on the agenda, I'm gonna ask for the vote. Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Churro?
Aye.
Commissioner Gary Ferguson?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway?
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
Abstain.
Commissioner Zayed?
Aye.
Commissioner Adams, aye. Motion passes. I'm sorry, Commissioner Van Leer, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Okay,
Thank you. Is there anything else from the training committee?
one more item.
Okay.
So the last item is the 3-year training plan. This training plan covers, the years through 2026, so 2024, 2025, and 2026. Based on the 2025 needs assessment and then the 2026 needs assessment, the training plans will be updated. So yeah, I'm making a motion to approve the 3-year training plan.
Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Rodriguez. Floor is open for discussion. Commissioner Wong?
So this is a 3-year training plan, so this will not be reassessed. When?
I just said, to clarify, every year, once the needs assessment is done, they go back in and update the 3-year training plan.
Okay, so, it was just a comment on generally about this. I do want to say, I had made, some concerns to, the monitor about the fact that training previous to this point was only being voted on in the committee. So my concern again is this: why do we need the monitor to tell us that things should not be done just in the committee? It has to come to the full commission. And I've also multiple times offered to look at the training. And when Co-Chair Adams was the head of the training, he said, I will do it myself. I've offered our work groups. Again, and then it's not good to cherry pick. I did do that, John. Please let me finish. And to cherry pick certain things that we are doing, we're not gonna fix the system. We have to be engaged in like transforming, and it's all contiguous. So again, I've not received an answer to my question. Why were no work groups ever established for us? Why does it require pressure from the DOJ for the training committee?
To the commissioner, for purposes of keeping us.
No, let me finish my sentence.
Commissioner Wong, you're actually not discussing the actual
this is
motion
the
that is
core
on the floor.
You're not discussing core issues.
You're not
Why does it
discussing the
require the
motion.
DOJ?
Okay, so Commissioner
Why does it
Wong,
require
I'm
the
gonna say you're
DOJ
out
to
of
make you
order.
guys do a full commission vote? This is a real
This is-
problem, that
Commissioner
you don't
Wong,
actually want to do the work. This is a real problem.
Okay, so,
And you were
Can we
hoarding the
talk
work
about-
by yourself, which is not right. This is a commission.
okay, so what I'm gonna say is, I think the people in the commission know I'm definitely not a work order. I think we know what the work order
You're
on the
control,
commission is.
you are.
So what I'm gonna say is, what I wanna keep us focused on is the motion that is on the floor. We just had an executive leadership meeting, and if this was an issue, it should have came up in the executive leadership meeting. This is one of the points of the executive leadership meeting, so that you don't waste time on things that are not on our agenda while we are in our
The community
actual
doesn't know what's
meeting.
happening.
So what
That's a
the
public meeting,
executive
they can watch
meeting
Oh,
is
yes,
is
but
a
they're gonna watch
public
over it.
meeting. So what we
Just
need
vote,
to do is
just
there
vote,
any other
just
discussion about the motion that's on the floor for the 3-year training plan? Call for the vote. Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Chura,
Aye.
Commissioner Gary Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Wong,
Abstain.
Commissioner Zayed,
Aye.
and Commissioner Adams. I vote aye. Motion passes. Is there anything else from the training committee?
There is not.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is the ad hoc hiring committee, and I believe that will be Commissioner Wong.
Okay, so this is the hiring committee for the ED position. Is that what it means? Okay. So, there was some confusion about whether this committee could be used for the commander appointments. I think we've worked that out. We have, I believe, a deadline of April 30th for Mr. Goodrick's term. 26th, was it?
It would be
Something,
May 1st or something like that, April 30th.
I think Mr. Donaldson said it was in April. So I think we have an issue here is that Mr. Goodrick's interim term, and interim terms should not be just renewed. We should have, I've tried to put up this motion for the hiring committee in December, January, then Ms. Garrett Ferguson was finally able to do it. I would like to make an amendment to the previous motion
Which motion?
to have a hiring committee for the ED position.
Okay, so to
Yeah.
the commissioner, I know that, there's been a lot going on, but I'm gonna say that I think this motion is not needed.
No, you
because
don't
of
even know what my motion is.
Okay, but what I'm gonna tell you is that because this agenda is for what we didn't finish last time, there is additional information that we will provide at the April 24th meeting.
Well, I'm going to
That will
make it,
actually
because that's
address
way
those.
too late. I'm making a
No, no, no,
motion
but-
right now. You can't stop me from making a motion. I'm making a motion to limit for 90 days. Within 90 days of this motion, we will be proceeding with interviews. We have not met for the hiring committee. Now I have had discussion and pressure from the co-chairs to simply extend Mr. Goodrick's status, which is not fair to him or any other candidates that would be in the process. So we had a previous motion to open the hiring committee. I'm just amending that in order that we seem to also have a concern about finishing things. We were supposed to meet with Mr. Wallach within 30 days. We didn't do that. So I'm putting a deadline of 90 days so we can go to HR, get everything done, and at 90 days, we will start interviewing candidates. I think that's a reasonable deadline. If not, we can extend it, but it seems like we need deadlines in order to move ahead. And our executive leadership, permanent executive leadership, is very important to the health of the commission. It is being ignored. This committee was being used for a commander appointment that is not our purview. And the health of the commission is required so we can stabilize it. So that's the amendment, is that we just amend for 90 days and we would start the process immediately, because I haven't seen any movement since then. So if I could have a second. If not, then I guess on April, we're going, in another week, we're gonna delay it and we're gonna face the same issue. We're gonna have to decide whether we're going to extend the interim status or indefinitely, which is not good, that we have an interim executive director who's not able to act independently, or we're gonna have to go through the hiring process. I would rather not wait another week.
Has there been a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is open for discussion.
I would say, I do not feel comfortable with this motion going forward for several reasons. One, we have yet to meet with Mr. Wallach to determine, as a commission, how we are going to move forward with this discrepancy. I think that this has been a very contentious point, and not to mention, there are at least 6 commissioners who are presently sitting that is in an active lawsuit that it has in regards to this. So I do not feel comfortable of this motion being brought forth, especially since we have discussed even Mr. Wallach's opinion and his engagement with this commission. There were threats made about future lawsuits in regard to the executive director position. So seeing how there are many commissioners here who do not have their own individual attorney, nor an attorney from the city to back them up, I just do not feel comfortable that we should be discussing this right now. Thank you.
Any other comments? So for the record, this will be the second comment.
This week, second, I can go
So
after other
I
people's
was gonna make
comments.
sure you're aware of that so that you can use your time wisely. Anyone else would like to comment? Commissioner Benito.
I know in some of the discussions about how we're gonna handle this hiring process, I know that there's been some discussion of an option of bringing in an outside agency to conduct a hiring search. I think that given the some of the dynamics around this hiring process, I think that it would be smart for us to do that. So I would prefer, if we're gonna make a motion today, I would prefer to actually make a motion to start to, okay.
And
Yeah.
just to,
Reject that.
I'm sorry. Were you gonna say something, Commissioner Rodriguez? Ridgeway? I'm just,
No.
I would say that I could support that motion. So maybe, what could be proposed, I mean, I think this is really, we wanted to kind of discuss this in a little bit more detail
Yeah.
on, Wednesday in the meeting. So we may ask that, if commissioners can just give us that, so that we can give us adequate time for this. Like I said, I don't think we really need this motion, but we need the time to adequately discuss, what our next steps really are. We were planning to do that at the next meeting. Commissioner Wong?
So I want to address some of the points. I find it concerning that basically this motion is just putting us on a timeline that we are able to change. It is no different from the motion that all of us voted for, and Ms. Garrett Ferguson, who's been opposing this motion, she put it forward. I'm concerned that that motion, which I tried to put up on December and in January, it was put up in was it February or February? That was at the behest of a lot of pressure from City Council. So maybe the winds have changed right now, but we need an executive director. Opening this process doesn't change. I don't think, how does that change anything, putting a deadline? You know, is that like, this is, and now it just seems like now we're gonna hire an outside firm with what money? I would ask. The city has an HR division. Their job is to help us. It would basically just require getting a job description together. We all know people at NACO. We can send it all over. It doesn't seem like I just don't understand the nature of the delay, except to delay the progress of the work of the commission, which in effect it is having to do. And there are people that are opposing this motion for merely adding a timeline. So that suggests to me that we don't want to complete things. And I've been concerned about that, considering Mr. Wallach, we couldn't even give Mr. Wallach in within 30 days. So that means we're gonna wait another 30 days to talk to Mr. Wallach about more things. Seems like a lot of intentional delay. And I have to say that the charter holds the city employees responsible for delay on the fulfillment of the mission of the commission. And I think the commissioner shall be also held responsible for that. So this to me, it's reasonable, 90 days. Do not delay this any further by another week, because we're gonna have the same discussion next week.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Thank you so much for your sentiments. I believe, especially on June 14th, when I advocated for my position on the motion, that I was in favor of an open, transparent process then, because of a variety of different issues that we are starting to see now. So I just would like that to be said for the record, clear, right? So if I vote no on the motion, it's various issues and concerns. I just would like that to be for the record. Thank you.
Commissioner Benito?
To be clear, what my understanding of the motion that you put forward is that we will conduct interviews, not that interviews will be conducted within 90 days. So in terms of why there's a conflict between the motion that you made and a potential motion to bring in an outside company to handle the application process and the hiring process, it would be that we, the commissioners on the table, might not be the people handling the interviews. So that is just my response.
That's a question
You all
about
spoken twice. Commissioner Ridgeway?
where's the money coming from to do this.
To the chairs and to my fellow commissioners. I think there may be additional information that almost demands that we wait until the 24th. Information that has not been distributed or anything. I think it demands that we wait to the 24th. I think the issue here is that by not bringing Wallet on earlier, we don't really know how this particular motion will impact what he would say to us on Wednesday, nor how it will impact whatever additional information that we are not privy to at this moment. I really believe that we need to table this motion until we have all the pieces and parts in place, so we can make an informed decision about how to move forward. And I want to acknowledge Commissioner Rodriguez's comment. I've been with you on this from the get-go. We know what we put on the table last year in June that was voted down. And we're right back here dealing with some of the same issues that we knew were going to arise because of how that discussion was handled last year. So I believe until we hear Wallet on Wednesday. And until we get all the information that may have been discussed and decisions made on the 24th, we need to table this motion. Because we don't need to go back on this one more time. We need to be able to make an informed decision that we can all feel comfortable with as we move forward. Thank you.
So, right now, there are no amendments to the motion on the table. Is there a call for the vote? Call for the
Well,
vote.
question for you, Chair.
Yes.
I'm wondering, was there a motion to postpone that was just issued now? And then you have to vote on that first? And then vote on the merits of this motion, or?
I think we set the table.
So there was a statement to table, no motion was made.
I didn't make a motion. I just made a comment as to why I think. I'm comfortable making a motion, but I don't know if we need.
I don't think it needs to be tabled. I think we can vote on it.
All right, so are we, the call for the vote?
So, to clarify the motion I made, it was to start some type of interview process within 90 days.
Okay,
it
so
doesn't necessarily
so
come
the
from
initial
the first
motion on the table is to amend the motion, for this committee to include a time frame of 90 days, to start the process by the commissioners. Is that correct, Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to vote on that, that amendment first, because it did receive a second. So the vote is to add 90-day time frame to start the process to the existing motion for the ad hoc committee, for hiring
For
executive director. Commissioner Benito,
Nay.
Commissioner Chura,
Nay.
Commissioner Gare Ferguson,
Nay.
Commissioner Reeves,
Nay.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Nay.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Nay.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Nay.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Nay.
Commissioner Adams, nay. Motion fails 9-1. Now, we now have to go back to the original motion, which was the ad hoc hiring committee. And I'm not quite sure what the original motion was.
That was the original motion.
So that was all we needed to do for that committee. So I believe the next thing on the agenda is for the ad hoc outside counsel committee, and I believe that's also.
Okay, so if I can bridge on the last conversation, it seems like there are extensive concerns about the ED hiring process. I've sent out an email asking for questions because lawyers, they do have to research things, right, Martin? They cannot just always give
Okay, so to
questions.
the commissioner, I want to just make sure that because that motion has died from that committee, are we moving on to the
Outreach,
ad hoc
outside counsel.
outside
So I'm
counsel committee?
asking,
Because what I'm hearing is that we're still talking about. the
no, we're
previous
talking
motion,
about the
which is
meeting that we're having with Mr. Wallach,
Okay.
so that's outside
Continue,
counsel.
please. My apologies.
So, I've not received any questions. There seems to be extensive debate as to what to do. I would ask as a courtesy and politeness to Mr. Wallach, who has been delayed more than 30 days, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to put a timeline on the other one, that we ask some questions. But it seems like if there are no questions, then it seems like we're delaying till the 24th for no reason. I would like for us to be prepared on the 24th to make a decision. This is obviously this thing will come up because Mr. Goodrick's interim status is ending at that point. So I'm asking again if there are going to be questions for Mr. Wallach. We are meeting for the public. We're having a special meeting, Mr. Wallach, on Wednesday at 6:30 to 8:30. That's to bring him out at that point. So then the other, I just want to give my update. The other outside counsel issue is that we have sent Mr. Wallach, as much as I can gather, all of the things that we've had for records that the commission needs help on because we voted a records conflict of interest. Mr. Wallach has, for whatever reason, he wasn't able to open everything, so we might have to give him access. But he's estimating 4 hours of work with some additional documents. It might be 6. So Martin, I think if you can allot, is that the right process? If we can allot 6 hours for that research work and comment. And what we've asked him to do is to simply read about, get up to speed on all the documents, and then tell us what we should be doing. Because at this point, again, I remind people, the accountability committee has not gotten its records from July, which had no body cam, so no LERMS data, nothing. So we need to act because, and I've talked to people knowledgeable about the judge. The judge does not, not according to Ms. Garrett Ferguson's statement, has no plan to go any further. So we need to find a way to get these records or we cannot do our job. And we are not a party to the consent decree. The other alternative is potentially that Mr. Wallach can insert us into the consent decree lawsuit. But I would like to get the records as quickly as possible. That should be our goal so we can do our work. So that is the outside counsel, and I have another conflict of interest motion that will be at the end. But please, and Mr. Bila and I spoke, if you have some questions, I guess, about the conflict of interest, we'd like to focus on the ED appointment first. We could, I guess, ask him because he is coming all out for 2 hours. Ms. Benito.
Can I, because I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I'm not really sure if everyone really understands what is being proposed from this committee report. So I'm going to ask you to maybe like clarify exactly
so
what
we
you're
have-
asking from the commissioner, because I know that I'm a little confused myself.
We have established Mr. Wallach for 2 conflicts of interest. One with regards to the mayor's letter upon the ED appointment, whether the mayor has authority to tell us to reject our nominee. We also established Mr. Wallach as outside counsel based on a conflict of interest for all of our records requests, because the city is in an adverse position in both of those positions. The meeting on Wednesday was initially intended for the ED appointment. He issued an opinion January 23rd or something like that, 28th, and we've not heard from him since. We interacted with him since. So I'm requesting, since there was active debate about what to do about the ED appointment that I just witnessed, that we give questions to Mr. Wallach, because some things may require legal research, and so not to delay, so we have all the information we can have before the 24th, so we can make our decision, because it seems like we had to make some type of decision about the ED appointment at that point, because my memory is that I think it was April 28th was when it ended, a year from then. So I'm just requesting again, questions. You can also, I guess, send questions about records if you want, since he's already here, but we would like to focus, obviously, to get all, like, I'm hoping that at the end of the meeting, all of us will have some clarity as to what all our options are, and then on the 24th, we can decide and debate, but, just so we can prepare and have every intricacy it is, as people have said, and I've advocated for the same thing, we need to proceed with caution, because this is a legal matter, and that there's also a legal matter in addition to that some of the commissioners are unfortunately involved in. So, yes, but I'm just concerned that not receive any questions at all to give to Mr. Wallach. Usually, lawyers, they always say it's complicated or it depends because they want to go and research it. Mr. Wallach is not going to, I imagine, going to be able to answer questions off the cuff. It would not be very good use of our resources, our time, and things like that. So, I mean, I've seen skepticism, but Martin probably can, he can't answer he said himself, I need to go research that. So better to give him the questions. Please send me the question. I'll send out another email. So those are the updates, and then that's it. And then I have another conflict of interest motion at the end of the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Ridley?
Just 2 comments. As a member of this ad hoc committee that was tasked to actually work to develop a contract to engage Attorney Wallach, I do not remember that engagement including anything about records. Now, I'm old and sometimes my memory isn't so good, but since he is not before us until Wednesday, I think we need to check and make sure that he is coming to also address records. When we engaged him on that initial contract, it was about to look at the decision that the mayor had given us, and to look at the legality of that in light of the statutes. That's what we engaged him to do. I know that there was other discussion. I do not remember there was a definitive answer from legal saying that he is also to address records. I think that between now and Wednesday, we need to clarify that before we bring that to the table. Secondly, and then I commented on this through an email that had gone out to all the commissioners. I do not believe that commissioners' questions should feed through any of us on this ad hoc committee. I believe that this commission should be astute enough to ask questions of Attorney Wallach, and they would be based on what he has to say. We don't know we know what his ruling was, his decision was. We want him to clarify or give us the context for that decision, because we don't know what he's gonna say. I don't know how we can develop a set of questions in advance to give to him. For as long as Attorney Wallach has been practicing, and at one point was a chief litigator for the city of Cleveland, I don't think that it will be mandatory that we prepare a list of questions ahead of time to give to him for him to do research on and come back to the table. But I also think that if I were not on the ad hoc committee, I would not want my questions to be moderated by another commissioner. I would want to address Attorney Wallach directly based on what he says to us, the context that he gives us for the decision that he made. It's just my opinion.
Commissioner Reeves.
To the chair, I know I'm a little slow, but I'm still trying to figure out what exactly is the motion on the floor? Did we submit questions? Is that the motion?
Just a request, and if I could clarify, I'm not moderating.
Oh, wait a
I
minute,
just,
no,
you know,
you don't need to clarify, just yes or no. Is the
no,
motion?
It's just a request,
Oh,
out
okay,
of courtesy.
sorry, I
Yeah.
apologize.
And it's not moderating. To answer Commissioner Ridgway's
Okay,
question.
wait. We have a lot of
Question
commissioners
about
waiting. So just hold on to the comment. We're gonna go Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Benito, and then Commissioner Wong.
Thank you. I believe that, it might be nice to have a few questions, but I'm gonna say personally, if I have a question, I'm going to ask on the spot. I think that there might be conversation that occurs and I might not think about it prior to that. I think we should have that opportunity as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Benito?
A couple things. One is, as I brought up in the executive committee meeting, I would like to ask you to please ask Attorney Wallach to watch the section of our last meeting or the February meeting where we discussed it. I think that will provide good context for him to understand some of the questions and concerns that commissioners have. And secondly, I think in terms
It's not the same motion.
Can we just
Yes,
please,
it is.
can we please just let the
in the
commissioner?
February, whatever
Finish.
meeting we voted to have this meeting with Wallach.
But that's about to have the meeting and not the
Okay,
actual.
so
meeting.
we'll direct, two things, just point of order. Let's direct through the chair and then let's not interrupt other commissioners. Thank you.
To clarify, in the meeting where we talked about having him come back to answer these questions, that is the section of the meeting that I'm requesting that you ask him to watch because I believe it will provide him context. Secondly, in terms of doing research and needing to submit the questions for him to do research in advance, he's already done the research. The research was to do the opinion. And so he wrote the opinion. We were asking questions about the opinion that he wrote. And so the idea that I think that the whole point is for us to have a conversation about the opinion that he already wrote, that he already researched, and that he should already have the context.
Commissioner Wong?
Okay, so I've never excluded any kind of extemporaneous question. It was just to provide the context. I think things could have changed since February, and certainly not everybody's thoughts, because I've heard many other thoughts about this legal motion were voiced on February 28th. I'm not in the nature of just telling Mr. Wallach what other commissioners have said. And I also really do not understand what is the issue here. Why do you not want to give questions in advance to help the conversation along? And I'm very, very concerned, because again, you can ask whatever questions you want, but usually, like for example, when you meet with a lawyer, they have context. And there could be questions that he researched to answer the very narrow question about, because he was asked to research the narrow question about the charter. He was not asked to advise about, like we're asking him now, to advise on the entire process. So this just seems to be nonsensical that we don't have questions for him. It's fine. I'm not going to force questions out of you. I'm not trying to moderate them. You can send him to him directly. I don't even need to be on the email if that makes you feel better. We can do that. I would just like us to have a productive meeting because he's being paid $300 an hour, and I think that is not really good proper use of funds for us to sit there and like hem and haw.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Wong. I'm gonna go to our attorney, Bart Belot.
Just a quick comment to the ad hoc committee that's overseeing the contract. To Commissioner Ridgway's point, we did add we did say that the scope of the contract that exists includes work for the document issue itself. The only thing we were specifically requesting of the ad hoc committee is to get an estimate and a scope of work for those document specific projects for the attorney. I think Commissioner Wong briefly mentioned something about 6 hours. If you all could get that cemented into a scope for the document work specifically and submit that to me, so that way we can understand the scope of what the work around the document issue is specifically. I know we've outlined, I think it's 3 hours for the executive director issue, but the document request issue, please give me another scope for it. Thanks.
So, thank you, Martin. I do want to say, then I will need more quick response directly to me because I know that we had a miscommunication. I sent the documents 3 weeks ago that I thought were related to the records request. You responded to Edie Goodrick. He never responded to me. So it's caused huge delay, especially that's coming piecemeal. I want to say that the motion for the records is broader, right? The motion for the ED position was just to comment on the letter. So the motion's broader. So it can be added at will. I don't think it necessarily needs to go through like a full commissioner vote every time. So this is what I just thought I'd give him the documents and see what he wants to say about them. So that was it. I'm happy to forward you that email.
Okay, so we'll go Commissioner Ridgway, and then I want to make sure, like, to be clear, there's no motion on the floor.
So we're fine. We're just,
Okay.
right.
I just want to make sure I understand too. I remember that legal asked for the number of hours, the scope of work regarding the records. I never saw a definitive decision coming out of that. So if there is, that's why I said we need, between now and Wednesday, we need to verify that that was decided, that he can address the issue of documents. If not, then that should not be part of this meeting with him on Wednesday. That's the only thing I'm saying, because we were made, it was clear that they needed a scope of work to address the documents issue, number of hours, what he would be doing. And I never saw anything coming out of legal saying this is what, I remember they asked, how many hours we thought, what would be the scope of the work, so they can put that in contract form. I never saw any decision on that coming out. That's why I said maybe between now and Wednesday, we need to verify whether that was ever done, whether it was approved to move forward on the documents.
So we're going to Commissioner Garrett Ferguson, and then we're going to have to move on, because I really want to make sure we get to the conflict of interest motion, and then we get to the OPS case. But what I will say is I think that I support what you want to do on this motion with the records. And what I will request is that you can bring that motion to the April 24th meeting. But we need to like kind of, or just a clarification on like the scope that we need, just for,
But I sent the email 3 weeks ago to everybody. I sent the email to the entire commission asking for more issues of records. Nobody responded 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay,
Can I please? I want to jump into question 30. And I know both co-chairs have attended a lot of our accountability meetings, but the issue around records and engaging Mr. Wallach and it being a conflict, if you go back and watch some of our accountability meetings, that's what the issue came up. I actually asked the question, I think last week, around what was a specific conflict. And I was told by the chair that at our previous full commission, we had voted that there was a conflict of interest between us and the city in regards to records. So we all voted. After that, it was presumed to me, based on the conversations in the accountability meeting, that a conversation had then happened between the chair of the accountability meeting and the ad hoc committee that already engaged with Mr. Wally to then ask. I specifically asked. I was like, oh, okay, so can we just add this to that meeting next week with Mr. Wally? I was told by the chair, absolutely. And that they were gonna have a conversation with the ad hoc committee. So tonight is the first time that I'm hearing it wasn't like a formal establishment with the actual law office, and that there hasn't been like an extension of the contract for those 3 additional hours. This is the first time I'm hearing of that, because at the previous meeting, I specifically asked.
To clarify,
In regards to records, I'm saying.
It's part of the same contract as Mr. Wallach and his firm. So he's doing one issue, now he's doing 7 issues.
But in regards to us talking to him on Wednesday.
those are two, so there's
Those are all
two
contained in one.
separate things, like we have to pass the 3 hours.
Yes.
So that's Wednesday.
Yes,
So he's contracted for 3 hours on Wednesday.
to only
There
talk
is a
about.
separate motion that we went through with the conflict of interest records, like all these files and things, that we passed the motion to basically use him for something separate.
Are we talking about both issues on Wednesday? That's what
We could.
That's what I'm saying, is that it was under my assumption, because I'm just going based off of the conversation, off the comments that
Okay,
Commissioner
so
Ridgway and Mr. Wallet,
Okay,
that
so,
Mr.
okay,
Beach
so
has
what
said.
what I wanna say is, my understanding is that these are two different things.
Mhm.
My understanding, I thought we were very clear at that meeting, that because he's getting paid $300 an hour, we were not gonna have anything else on the agenda except for what happened with the ED position and his opinion on it. That was my understanding of what we passed. We did pass to use Wallet for, because I remember this meeting and we were talking about how we needed to specify exactly that we could not add Wallet to the ED motion because he was hired for something specific. And so we had to pass an additional motion to use him for something different. And then, and after passing that motion, we were supposed to provide how much work we needed him to do, what the actual scope of the work he was gonna do, and how many hours we thought he was
So that's what I'm saying, in
So,
the
yeah,
accountability
but that
meeting last week, that did not happen. What was told to us in the accountability meeting was that there could just be these additional questions asked in regards to records without that. So I was
Okay,
under the
okay.
assumption
So-
that like the other contract had been amended to enact.
So what I'm
Other
saying is,
information
what I
things.
just told you is, if I misspoke at the accountability meeting, I will apologize to the commission, but that is my understanding of where we are in terms
Can I-
of the two motions, one with the executive director, which is only for Wednesday, and then the conflict of interest, we're still waiting for the scope and the amount of hours.
Can I give some clarity? The motions are different from the work contract. If you remember, when we were limited in getting him through, I mean, it was a very narrow vote, and then Ms. Menino added the 3 hours. I do not think that was a good idea. We had 2 and then we made it 3. Because that is not the nature, how can he predict what the work will be like? That is something negotiated with Mr. Wallet, the commission, and, I guess with Martin's help from the law department. We should never be putting hours on this. So, but the whole point is his work contract has been extended, right, Martin, to include this other responsibility. So it's
It
all.
hasn't been included, that's what they're saying. That's
It
what I'm
has,
saying, it has not been extended and to include
it
information
has,
off the records.
it has, ask Martin, he's already.
Martin just asked if he could get a scope of work for the
Okay,
records.
so point of order, everyone, okay, so listen.
3 hours was for the special meeting.
That's
on
fine, you could
Wednesday.
do that, but I'm just
It's
saying,
not
so
for the
Mr.
executive
Wallet
director.
is limited.
Okay,
To the chair, it's a special meeting, right? The co-chairs set the special meeting agenda, the agenda isn't out yet, but the co-chairs set special meeting agendas, therefore, when the agenda comes out, that will be what it is, so,
Mr. Goodrich, you said to me in email that I should be working with Martin on this.
Yes, you
So-
could
and this
to
is-
go to the
This
co-chairs.
is.
Hold
this
on
is
one
the-
second, hold on. I also want to make a point that has come up before when Ms. Ridgway and Adriana were co-chairs. Ad hoc committees are still committees. If these committees are meeting and I'm not aware of it and I'm not posting this, you are doing it incorrectly. So I see things with ad hoc committees' name on it with motions. If these things are being created by the committee in a meeting,
We'll take it off.
they should not be, if you're meeting, it needs to be posted. Now, you can go into executive session, right? But it doesn't absolve you of the fact that there are 3 commissioners, these are official committees, and you need to set up meetings that are publicly posted with an agenda, and Martin will help you with that if there's sensitive topics, but this has been brought up before. It sounds like to the public that these committees are meeting, and I'm not aware that they have met, so I'm not saying they have.
Mr.
but-
Goodrich,
but
we're
there
gonna
are-
need to
Can
determine
you
how
let,
many members.
can you please,
I mean,
don't interrupt, please.
stop
But
it.
there's a lot of mention of the ad hoc committees with names of commissioners, and that is not, are these committees meeting? If not, they should be, because nothing should be forwarded with this committee's name on it and these committees' names on it without it having gone through that committee, because that is our practice. So there's a lot of
Fine, then
confusion
I will
about
make these motions
the ad
for
hoc
myself.
committees, but it sounds to me, it's the public can get the impression that these things are doing work, and I'm not certain that they have met at all.
We
So,
have met, Mr. Goodrick, it was very difficult, the first iteration. We have met also with the city. We did not, that was not a public meeting, so you are incorrect about this. I did not think it was the best use of time to go have Mr. Chura and Mr. Van Leer.
not
meet for
incorrect,
an
because
hour.
there is an
Issues of
actual
time,
opinion
what we
from
would
Mark
like to do
Griffin
is
to-
we would like
to
move
about
on
these. They're
from
fine.
this.
They
So
told me
for
to-
purposes of time, I'm so glad you mentioned time.
Let's
We
move
would
on.
like to move on to your next motion, which is under the new business, the conflict of interest motion. So that we can make sure that we get to the items that matter to everyone.
Sure, why don't we do the conflict of interest motion? Because I don't think we're gonna have time for, unless you wanna do the Tolbert motion, unless there's more objections to the Tolbert motion being put up a fifth time.
I have an
Have any-
objection.
Okay, no, let's stop. This is what we're about to do, everybody.
So I've
Please,
never,
excuse me, I just want to make a point of clarification. We are gonna get through this business today. That's what the whole point of this is. And we are not gonna extend the time. We are gonna go to the conflict of interest motion. This should be pretty simple. And
why was that put before the other one?
And what is on, okay, so again, I've mentioned this several times. I want to make a clarification again. This is literally a cut and paste job
Mhm.
from the previous meeting. Nothing was changed out of order.
Okay, let's-
This is the exact order it was on the agenda that we did not finish.
okay,
So
let's
that's
do
why
the-
we're going
the
to.
motion, even though the agenda wasn't correct, I'm just gonna keep going forward. I will read the conflict of interest motion. I've sent it to all of you in your emails. So this is a motion to establish a conflict of interest for accountability and discipline work, with regards to our attorney. We can strike out that it's from the ad hoc committee for outside counsel. I guess it could have also come through accountability too, but I will just sponsor it as a commissioner. There's no rule saying that it cannot be brought directly to the commission. So I will read this now. Whereas in late January 2024, Assistant Law Director Martin Belat was assigned to the commission to be the commission's attorney, and he is an employee of the City Department of Law, and he is supervised by Chief Assistant Director of Law Stephanie Milnick. Whereas Interim Executive Director Jason Goodrick serves as one of Mr. Belat's other direct supervisors and has the power to discipline and fire Mr. Belat. Whereas on March 5th, 2024, the commission voted to establish a conflict of interest with the city on the issues of records, thereby excluding Mr. Belat from conducting commission work related to records. Whereas the commission's police accountability and discipline work is dependent and inextricably linked to access to city and division records. Whereas on numerous occasions, members of the city law department have stated that the Civilian Police Review Board, another part of the disciplinary system in Cleveland, could not enact its new discipline authority under City Charter 115.4 until CPRB has updated its manual, in effect stating that CPRB's manual superseded the existing city charter. Whereas on March 6, 2024, Commissioner Terry Wong asked Mr. Belat if the city charter supersedes the manual of CPRB, to which Mr. Belat replied, "I don't want to answer that question because I don't want to disagree with anybody in the law department," unquote, and continues to map out the commission's response to this issue from a disciplinary perspective. Whereas on March 26, 2024, Mr. Belat stated on record that he, quote, "can't speak on something that has already been thoroughly researched and spoken on by another attorney in the law department." This was in the vehicle pursuits policy meeting. Whereas Mr. Belat's employment by the city and his statements refusing to provide an opinion to the commission whenever the city law department already has opined on an issue for other city entities indicates a conflict of interest with regards to Mr. Belat's ability to provide independent legal counsel to the commission on accountability and disciplinary matters. Whereas the commission's charter grants the commission the power to, quote, "engage outside legal services at the Department of Law expense when the commission determines in its discretion that there is a conflict of interest between the commission's mission and representation from the Department of Law," unquote. And whereas on January 23rd, 2024, the commission signed a contract to retain McCarthy, Levitt, Crystal, and Liftman Co-LPA as outside counsel based on conflict of interest with Mr. Mark Wallach as lead counsel, and this contract permits the extension of an engagement with outside counsel. Now, therefore, the commission resolves as follows. The commission delegates to the commissioners James Chura, Pete Van Leer, and Terry Wong the authority to take all actions necessary to extend Mr. Wallach or alternative counsel's engagement, including without limitation communicating with the city, the Department of Law, and Mr. Wallach or alternate counsel regarding the terms of his engagement. No one else on the commission or staff will take any actions relating to the engagement process. 2, the commission further delegates to Commissioners James Chura, Pete Van Leer, and Terry Wong to act as points of contact for Mr. Wallach or alternate counsel and oversee the legal work once he has been engaged. These commissioners will provide updates to the full commission as necessary. And if there's any doubt about what Mr. Bilat said, I have thoroughly documented that and I can give you the evidence of what he said. But Mr. Bilat has said that he is not able to provide opinions and not comfortable providing opinions when the law department has said otherwise.
So
I think
there
that
is a
clear.
motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second. Is there any discussion? Stuart?
This has to do with staff, so I'm gonna go ahead and respond. First, this motion was sent to you 5 minutes ago, and it has significant impact on your ability to do your work, okay? What I will say about it is, yes, there may be times where Mr. Bilat is in conflict. We've said that time and time again. But what this is saying a person should not work on anything related to discipline and accountability or anything else. And we all know here, because everyone's experienced this at this point, through one way or another, and you can hear it in the tone of the way this motion was delivered, that disagreement with someone's opinion does not mean that's a conflict of interest, right? So just keep that in mind. There's been numerous attacks on Mr. Bilat by a commissioner here because that commissioner didn't agree with what Mr. Bilat had to say. But that is how these things come about. And what we're doing here is saying because there's a conflict with records, which Mr. Bilat may in some certain circumstances have a conflict of records, we're going to eliminate him from everything related to discipline and accountability and case management and writing hearing protocols. This commissioner who is introducing this motion is on the record saying that Mr. Bilat should not have introduced those hearing protocols. We know that she does not like them. She spoke out against them. And what the underlying thing of this will do is make those irrelevant at this point, right? So you got to read between the lines here. This motion is not about a conflict over an issue. This is about a conflict of a person on your staff who is here helping you every day get through issues, right? And so, yes, you may not like what they have to say sometimes, but you shouldn't take them out of the game for this major component of your work, accountability and discipline work. I mean, if you have a specific conflict around a specific issue, by all means, you should always consider that. But in a rush setting like tonight, to pass this would be a mistake because you feel there is so much here in the scope of that that would take Martin out. The point of him being here would be pretty much moot. I think you should give the courtesy to Mr. Bilat if he wants to speak on some of the things that are written in here as hearsay, because that also should not be presented into a motion.
I have it recorded, it is not.
Well, okay, so what we're gonna go through the proper procedures and we're gonna allow Commissioner Benito and then after Commissioner Benito, I will see if Mr. Bilat wants to respond. Commissioner Ridgway next.
One thing I would like to point out is that this was sent out at 6:23 p.m., which is after the meeting had started. I think it's extremely inappropriate to send out a motion that you're bringing tonight. I don't know why you would send it at all if you're just going to make it. And I want to just speak out about my experience with Martin. I think that what you are discussing as presenting as evidence of, his conflict of interest are actually pieces of evidence that he is being thoughtful and saying, I do not want to speak in a way that is that creates a conflict of interest. So he is doing exactly what he is supposed to be doing by being careful about if there are certain.
Go ahead,
Continue.
go ahead.
Are you done?
I apologize for the disruption, but please.
Oh, you made many faces at me already. This is just incredible
Continue,
statements.
please. Okay, so can I just interject real quick? This is what I want to ask for the committee. For purposes of time, I think that it is reasonable that we can't read something thoroughly that we received in a meeting. So I'm gonna ask that someone put a motion on the table to either want to kill this motion so it can come back or table it. Because it is unreasonable. I don't even have my computer in front of me.
I would like to respond.
So what I'm gonna say is, I would like to ask for
Before
a
you kill the
motion
I would like to
so that we can finish. There's another item on the agenda, and we have 20 minutes left. And so we can just basically present that motion so that we can move on, because it's not even considerable to expect commissioners to vote on something that they received in the middle of a meeting and we all haven't had a chance to read it.
I'm still in the middle of my comment.
Once, Commissioner Benito is done, I will make a motion.
I would like to speak before that motion because I requested it before Ms. Garrett Ferguson. Thank you.
So, as I was saying, that my experience with Attorney Vila has been that he has been extremely thoughtful and careful about engaging with us and trying to avoid any conflict of interest and being very clear. He has said over and over that if at any point we have a conflict with just like a rule, not a ruling, but a judgment that he has made or advice, legal advice that he has given us, he has encouraged us many times. You can always go seek additional counsel. He has made that very clear. And so, to me, trying to frame to present evidence of him saying, well, I would, not want to speak on that, or I would want to be careful about that. To me, that is him showing that he is taking it seriously, that he does not want to put us in a position where he is giving us conflicted legal advice. So and I think that I just want to say, as a commissioner, it is our job to make sure that we are providing a safe and supportive working environment for our staff members, especially our staff members who are working extremely hard. I have been in a meeting with him until 8:30 p.m. and then we were on a phone call the next morning working at 7 a.m. He is working extremely hard and he is doing a fantastic job. And the fact that he is saying at times, you know what, you might want to talk to somebody else about that, or I probably shouldn't speak on that immediately, to me shows that he is doing exactly what he is supposed to be doing with this split position to make sure that we are not finding ourselves in this position. So I think it is shameful, the kind of attacks that are being made upon him right now. And I also think that that we need to do a better job protecting our staff, because we are losing staff. We are bleeding staff. And part of that is the environment that we are creating here on the commission. So to create a motion to say that a staff member our attorney cannot touch anything related to accountability and discipline, I think is completely absurd. And if you have an issue with a specific topic, a specific issue, or a specific opinion that you disagree with him on, we can follow the same process that we've been following, where you say, this was the opinion that he issued, and because of this, we think that there's a conflict of interest, and on this specific issue, we can go ahead and get outside legal counsel. But to do a broad say that he can't touch anything related to that, I think is absurd. And I think that what you are doing to how you are treating our staff members is reprehensible and irresponsible.
Thank you, Commissioner Vito.
No, you said you would give him a chance.
Have anything
He wanted to
you want to say?
I guess I can.
Yeah, this mic's dead.
That's fine, I'll grab this one. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Martin, the guy the motion's about. Listen, it's not that complicated. To me, I really do believe, like we have been saying, if there is a specific issue you all believe that my advice is contrary to what this commission wants to do, vote as a majority to extend a contract for an outside attorney or get a new contract for an outside attorney. It is that simple, okay? Can I speak outside the law department? Of course, we're all trying to speak with one voice, right? That's the intent of the law department. That's the intent of the commission. So I always want to run things that have been spoken on by the law department back through the people that have said those things. So I can get better perspectives, right? It's just as simple as that. So I do want to continue to work with you. I think there is space for the law department and the CPC to work together in things like accountability, in things like policy, because we can be on the same page about a lot of things. Don't forget the CPC is part of the city of Cleveland. So I'm here to work with you all. If you do not agree with something I say, make an emotion, and I want to take away some of this emotional stuff that's involved with it, because if you all honestly believe that you want to vote on this, I'm not gonna hold that against you, okay? It's just, it is what it is. If you believe there's a conflict, vote on it. But please make sure it's detailed so that way I know exactly what I'm in conflict on, because I'm not 100% sure at the moment. For this motion.
We're gonna go Commissioner Wong, Commissioner Chura, Commissioner I'm sorry, hold on. Commissioner Wong,
Okay.
then was Commissioner
So-
Rodriguez, Commissioner Chura, Commissioner Ridgway.
So-
Commissioner Garrett.
I'm gonna try to ignore all the ad hominem that came from Commissioner Benito. It appears to be that my treatment of staff is making them leave, which is not the case. I've had very good interactions with Mr. Vilat. They ceased at a certain point after I disagreed with him and Mr. Goodrich. I don't actually blame Mr. Vilat for this. I blame his bosses for this. And the issue that Commissioner, I want to quote again what Mr. Vilat said to me. It was not that, oh, I want to, I want to just keep you guys out of conflict. I need to think about it. In reference to the manual of CPRB, and we are writing our hearing process and manual now, and Martin has given us a draft. He said, when I said that the manual cannot supersede the city charter, Mr. Vilat replied, quote, I don't want to answer that question because I don't want to disagree with anybody in the law department. So therefore, we were talking, and I have it documented. I'm sorry about that, but like it is with regards to whether a manual can supersede the authority of the city charter. So on that issue, that's why I said Mr. Vilat, in my opinion, should not be writing the hearing process because that is our manual. I do want to say again that there's just all these, it's not a conflict of a person. Mr. Vilat and I've had very good interactions. I really resent other people speaking on his behalf because I don't think he would say these things about me. And the issue that I have, the reason why I was confused about what Ms. Benito said is that you said that he is trying to maneuver around the conflict of interest. That doesn't make any sense. If we're in an adverse position, Martin doesn't maneuver. Martin tells us, here is the independent opinion given to the commission, even if it is adverse to the law department's view. It is not about maneuvering. It is about the factual orientation of are we in conflict on these issues. So that has nothing to do with him maneuvering or trying to negotiate. I realize, Mr. Vilat, it is a very difficult position that you are in. This is why I had advocated for a totally independent attorney because I would never want to be in your position, honestly. And there were other commissioners that advocated for this, but we were not allowed as a commission to decide whether we can have that independent attorney. And now the process that is set up is that we have to onerously, meticulously, every little piece, and these are contiguous pieces, Martin, you know that. These are not clear puzzle pieces that we can take one out and then you're not involved in it. If you are conflicted out on records, and if you do not believe that you can say that that you can issue an opinion about the manual of CPRB, a discipline system that is in defiance of the city charter, then you are in conflict here. And basically I'm saying, if you can't issue freely, and please tell us, because you have the right to say this too, if you cannot freely give your opinion on the city charter, which I've disagreed with you about, which Luke has disagreed with you about, which Shabo Chandra has disagreed with you about, and that's the problem, is that to bring these lawyers in to do this is not the point. If you're so confident on multiple things, and the records wasn't your fault because that was the city's position, right? So look at that, the records, he can't decide on that. He even if he wants to help us on the records, he cannot. But if you don't feel comfortable that you are able to issue an independent opinion that defies the city, then you need to tell us, because that is a very bad position for you to be in. And you are also held by a certain ethical standard to say this, right? You are under the Bar Association. You have to tell us if you are conflicted, if you cannot issue an independent opinion. Nothing to do. This is just ridiculous. It says that he has to maneuver around conflicts of interest.
So we are going to move on to Commissioner Rodriguez, Commissioner Chura, Commissioner Ridgway, Commissioner Garrett first. I'm sorry, yes,
Thank you. So I would just like to re-emphasize that one commissioner does not make the whole commission's opinion. And specifically, some of this is about conversation that occurred before. Under 115, and Jason is the executive director. So I think the best protocol would be maybe to establish a process, or if there is a conflict, to write it out. But ultimately, if there is anything, you are the executive director. I am not sure this is even in order, because the charter clearly states, even with hiring, supervising, that you oversee the staff.
And even if there's a difference of opinions, whether it's the law or on the commission, we should create space that should be allowed and that should be received.
Commissioner Sure.
Yes, I think Mr. Billet, if there's a conflict of interest, I think you just have to come right out and say it, and then make it clear to everybody, and if the issue is, we'll go on after that. And I think it has to be rough trying to serve two bosses at this time. But I think with most of the city work you're doing, I think you can handle it. If there's a conflict, just let us know and we'll get some outside attorney.
Thank you. Commissioner Ridgeway?
To the chairs and fellow commissioners, I think I was the only commissioner that sat in on your interview when you were selected. I sat in with the ED. We asked that question specifically during your interview. And I remember Attorney Stephanie Milnick stating that if there is a difference of opinion, that discussion would take place with the law department and you representing the commission's decision, and a decision would be made from that, in terms of how we move forward. I asked that question, what if we're saying something that may be in conflict with the city's opinion? And that process was laid out during that interview, and I'm pretty sure you also remember that, Jason, Jason. Okay, having said that, the second comment is that this committee was not those three people. If I recall, Co-Chair Zayed actually made a motion that committee that would be working on some of these issues would be made up of Shura, Wong, and Ridgeway. You made the motion for me to be a part of that. At that point, Pete's name was not, Commissioner Van Leer's name was not on that. That committee that Commissioner Wong is referring to is the committee that initially took that question. We were in that meeting as co-chairs, took that question to the law department. So I don't know what committee this is. I don't know whether I'm involved in any of this at this point, because this motion doesn't reference the fact that co-chair Zayed, who was not a co-chair at that point, but you made the motion to make me a part of that. So I just want to, before if this motion is brought back to the table and before it's brought back, that needs to be clarified as to who are the members of this. But I do want to say that question was asked specifically of you. We talked about it, even Attorney Stephanie Milnick responded and said this is an instance where there would be a discussion about it and to see how we should move forward on it. So I just wanted to add that to this discussion.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Yeah, so I just want to start off by saying, because I think it's very important, we have to continue this. We, as commissioners, are members of the city of Cleveland. We are community members. And we have to stop acting like there's a separation between us and the city of Cleveland. We are all city of Cleveland residents. We all make up a ward of city of Cleveland. We all do great work in this great city. But we need to make sure that we get away from this notion that it is us against them, or they're the committee, or their community. And we are the community. A select group was appointed, but we are the community. We were appointed to be representatives of them. And there are times that community members will reach out to us. There are times that we'll reach out to them. But we are the community. We are not separate from them. There is no hierarchy in that. And all of these conversations with these different names of different attorneys in these secret meetings, that has to stop. We hired our attorney. Other attorneys that was involved with issue 24, other attorneys that have been involved in police reform, unfortunately, they are not on this commission. And so while their opinions can be valid, they can always show up and give public comment or join a work group. But until then, we're in a public setting, Commissioner Wong, and do not interrupt me.
So we are going to.
So what I'm going to also say is, yes.
Thank you.
And to the chair, I'm going to introduce a motion to kill this bill, to kill this motion, because this is egregious to our staff member. This is unnecessary. Many of us spoke out
other commissioners spoke out about what it meant to hire an attorney that had to split time between us and the law office. And because we did not get the budget that we needed originally to hire an independent attorney, we decided this was the best option. So now we are gonna move forward. When the issue comes up, that is how we wanna handle it, in the same way that Commissioner Chura and other commissioners have displayed. But right now, we cannot waste any more time on this, so I'm making a motion to kill this motion for now.
So that sounds like a call for the vote.
Yes.
So we're gonna go through the call.
Is he tabling
So
the motion?
just, no, it's just, we're just calling for the vote because you don't actually make a motion to kill a bill, you just vote no. So,
And I'll bring it back
so
again.
Commissioner Benito,
Nay.
Commissioner Chura,
Nay.
Commissioner Gary Ferguson,
Nay.
Commissioner Reeves,
Nay.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
No.
Commissioner Ridgway,
Nay.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Nay.
Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed,
Nay.
Commissioner Adams, nay, motion fails 9-1. At this point, there is only one more item on the agenda that we are not gonna get to. It is too late to extend the meeting, and we do not have time for public comment, so I'm gonna say this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.